Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. My guest this week, a returning guest. He had such a great time. He demanded to come back. No, very, very funny guy, great guy, amazing tennis player. Um,
You've never seen me play tennis.
he can multitask. Talks and drinks coffee at the same time. You don't want
I
to
can
mess with
do
this
it.
guy. A great, terrific comedy writer, one of the best in the business. Pedigree, SNL, The Simpsons, little show that could, Seinfeld. You may have heard of that. Also had a great talk show, which, by the way, I loved, and I was bummed that they did not continue it on Fox.
Oh yeah,
That was
that's right.
really great. And
Thank you.
it's Spike Feresten. Great to have you on again, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be here with you. Good morning.
And we're promoting and talking about your current show on YouTube, Spike's Car Radio with Jerry Seinfeld. It drops every Wednesday in this really terrific car-centric show. And I want to talk about that, obviously. But, the last time we talked, I didn't realize this, and I kind of went back and kind of dust this off your bio. Could you tell the story really quickly about how you kind of got into comedy? Were you at Berkeley School of Music and you dropped the light bulbs and everything? I assume
Oh,
that's a true story. It's such
that
a
is a
great story.
true that is a true story. You get to this point in your career, and you look back at these little moments, you go, man, they're just these little tiny moments that get you where you are. And,
Yeah.
I have boys now that are teenagers and one of them's off to college in a couple of years. And I'm like, pay attention to the tiny little taps on the shoulder. And this is like one of those stories.
Mm.
I'm at Berkeley College of Music. I'm a music production and engineering. I'm a guy who's going to maybe score movies, maybe, or maybe be the guy who's working the sliders. But I've already accepted I'll probably be a music teacher in my hometown of West Bridgewater, and that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
By the way, I'm from Rhode Island. We're neighbors. I grew up
Oh
in
yeah,
Rhode
yeah,
Island.
yeah. Right.
Hmm.
Tiverton. Down by
There you go.
Tiverton there.
Yeah.
I was born in Fall River. So,
Oh, there you go. That's
and
a
I had
wicked
that
place.
accent. I had that accent back then. And I
Yeah.
was obsessed with David Letterman's show. Like that show and the comedy in it. People don't understand now. There was nothing like that. It was
Yeah.
revolutionary. There was nothing
Same.
like
Same
that
here.
right? It didn't
Yeah,
exist
because I
anywhere.
mean, I was obsessed with like Carson. I would just watch any stand up on Carson, like Carson. Then this thing came along, and it was like, ugh,
It was
what?
a whole new level.
Yeah,
The episode where Dave is sitting there and he wants to get his mic cord. He needs a hole for his mic, and they drill it in real time while Paul's playing tinkly piano music. And I'm watching this going, holy shit.
yeah.
He's,
Or the one where he goes to like he brings a bouquet of flowers to like the NBC head, and the security throws him out.
that
Like he
was at
goes to rock.
GE.
That was
That was
GE.
years later, but he was
Yeah,
breaking down, he was breaking the idea of Johnny Carson's show every
yeah.
night. And I was obsessed, like literally obsessed in the wrong kind of like show up at Dave's door kind of way. Like I just went, I gotta I gotta work on this show somehow. And
Mm.
I was in the dorms one night. It was a Saturday night. We're all drinking beers, and it was like midnight, and we're just bored. And I get the bright idea to go, hey, why don't we take some fluorescent light bulbs out from the hallway and throw them out the window down in the sidewalk, which we do. And not surprisingly, Monday, they call me in and they go, you're the RA, right? You're the guy in charge of the floor for the students. I go, yeah. And he goes, is this you throwing light bulbs out there? I go, yeah. And they go, you're out of here. And they didn't kick me out of school, but they kicked me out of the dorms. And it was shortly after I was watching Dave, and they're doing a tower drop with fluorescent light bulbs, and I went, wow, this guy's figured out how to get paid to do what I just got. And it was really that simple. It was really just cold,
Yeah,
unemotional logic. I,
yeah,
I need to go work for him.
yeah.
If
And
I
that's
could,
how it started. Yeah.
but I'm a college student and I don't have any connections to anybody.
Mm.
And I was bartending at Legal Seafoods a few blocks away. And one day,
Yeah.
this woman walks in, Harriet, with a Letterman varsity jacket. I said, "Where did you get that?" She goes, "Oh, I just broke up with a guy who does graphics for SNL and Letterman." in New York. And I go, so how does he feel about you still? Do you break up with him or did he break up with you? And he goes, I broke up with him. And I'm like, would
Can
you?
you get back together with him,
One
please?
more phone call, just one more. I would really love to
You
intern on
guys were
that show.
made for each other. Come on, reconsider the relationship.
I,
You
I'm
know,
still,
I
I'm
want to
still
get to talk
stunned that
about your
she
show.
did this.
She did it.
She called and she got me that internship. Yeah.
Wow. Such a great story. And that led to everything else. That's amazing. I know from when we talked before that you were really into cars, but this has really seemed to be kind of the central thing you're doing now. And you're doing the show with Jerry. And there's so many questions I have, which is like, and I have other people like I know Chris Mazzilli, who's close with
Oh yeah,
Jerry's son,
yeah.
and they like. So, what is it about cars and Porsches in particular that sort of get you guys so dialed in? And tell the story about the Le Mans Steve McQueen 917 Porsche. You just have an episode that just came out about that with Jerry, which is a really great story.
Oh, that's insane. I mean, that's early 2000s driving down La Cienega in LA and seeing Steve McQueen's race car from the movie Le Mans sitting in a window on Wilshire in La Cienega and going, "What the hell?" You know, it's a great movie but why
Yeah.
is that car sitting there calling Jerry up going, "I think I just saw Steve McQueen's 917." He goes, "You're kidding." And you know, a couple weeks later, and we have a bunch of stories like this. You know, he obviously lives in New York, I live in Los Angeles. Couple weeks later, he's out. He goes, "Let's go look at that car." And sure enough, there it is. It's the most intact 917. It's the camera car from the movie, Solar Productions, Steve McQueen. And it's got mounts
Explain
on
to
the
people,
front.
yeah, explain to people what camera car means for people that
Camera car
aren't.
means it's a well. This was an actual Porsche race car from the early '70s, but it had steel mounts that they attached cameras on, and it was not only used in the movie where you can see it going around the track and racing, it was used to keep up with the other race cars it was shooting. It literally had a camera, movie camera on the front of the nose, and it drove
Mm.
around. And because it was the camera car, it wasn't raced afterwards and crashed. It was like it's just this intact race car. And at the time, race cars were worth nothing. The automotive community didn't care about these things because
Really?
they were raced and crashed and rebuilt and new
Mm.
engines. They were messes. So they would sit just on used car lots, right? But
Mm.
it was right before the Steve McQueen craziness happened for guys, and I said to Jerry, I don't know this Steve McQueen who we all love. It seems like his sunglasses, his other his other this thing. It's bigger than just the automotive community. It's kind of in our kind of entertainment thing, and maybe you should buy this. And he goes, well, it's $1 million. And I said, well, I think you made a little money on that show we just did together. And he was a little nervous about, he goes, why would I own this? It doesn't feel like something I should take care of. I was like, I get that. Cause he's kind of a humble guy. And I said, but you are developing into this Porsche guru. This is your brand.
Yeah.
And you have this collection and you're an historian of it. And
Yeah.
you really
God, I remember
does,
the episodes of his apartment when that Porsche that in midair, that
yeah, yeah.
poster, and like you're like this goes back for years that he
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
into that.
Because we were just always there, like you're just working all the time. So when
Yeah.
we weren't there on the show working. We were there looking through car magazines and buying cars that frequently we only drove to and from work. But that was fun, and that's kind of where it all began. So he bought this
Yeah.
car and kept this car for 25 years, and recently sold it for a lot of money. The estimates I think I've read are over $25 million. So it was a nice investment. An
And people
amazing
have to
thing.
watch the you have to watch the episode because he's funny the way he kind of
Yeah, yeah.
talks
Well,
about it.
he sent it out to Meekum to be auctioned, and then there was a big story that he had turned down $25 million,
Yeah.
but it turned out not to be true. There was some private buyer who didn't want to be on the auction
Right.
stage, which does happen. It just happened with me with a motorcycle, where
Wow.
someone's just like, I just want to buy it, and I just want to come over and meet you, and but
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the show, and that's fine.
So I get the sense, I've talked, like I said, Chris Mazzilli, for people listening, he owns Gotham Comedy Club. He's actually a good friend, and we were doing stand up together because years ago he started doing as a stand up. And in knowing Chris, I don't know you as well, and I only know Jerry in passing. But it's not really about the money to me. It seems like it's just there's just this ephemeral passion, this thing about these animate objects. I don't know. Explain to me, because I've got a couple of other friends that are like really into motorcycles and collect and talk and go to shows, and like what is it? Like what I'm curious.
We're a tribe of drivers, and I think you'll be able to relate to it very simply. When Jerry's out or when I'm hanging out with my friends like this weekend, we get together in whatever cars, take a nice drive out to Malibu, sit and have coffee like you would do on the road as
Mm,
a comedian,
mm, yeah.
and make each other laugh for an hour and then drive
Mm.
home. And that it feels like a vacation to us for some reason. We would rather do that than go to the Bahamas with our families. I don't know what that is. And in the course of doing that, people are always kind of leaning an ear over wherever we are, trying to listen in. And eventually I said, we should really record this. I think there's something entertaining about what we're doing. I don't know what it is, but let's try
Mm,
it. And that was,
mhm,
8 years ago. And now we launched on YouTube recently, and you can see the cars that we're talking about. Big
mm,
manufacturers give us their babies to review, and we tell the truth because this isn't our real job. This is just 1 hour of my week. I'm
mm,
working in entertainment most of the time. This is just my fun hour. That's all the show is. My 1 hour a
right.
week where I just get to do whatever I want to do.
Well, it
Whoever
comes
I'm interested
through.
in talking about, whatever story I'm interested in talking about, whatever cars we're interested in showing everybody and telling the truth about, that's what we're going to do. And no one messes with it. And surprisingly, it's working. Like no one's more
Well,
surprised than me.
I think it's working because nobody messes with it. I mean, we
Yeah,
both
yeah.
work in the business long enough to know, like,
Hmm.
some people want to put their fingerprints on things, and it makes it worse instead of better. Not necessarily all the time, but the thing that's great about the show is it does feel like I'm sort of just listening in on some buddies hanging out, talking about a bunch of stuff, mainly cars, but it's not anybody watching this show or listening. You don't have to go, oh, I'm not into cars, so I'm not going to go listen. No, I mean, it's just incredibly funny, smart people, clearly with chemistry. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then and you've got a sort of a cast of regulars, and tell people about them a little bit. Like, I know you got a personal injury lawyer, and you got a couple of other people too.
Paul Zuckerman is a very good friend of mine and my former neighbor who is he would have been, well, like us. He would have been a comedian or a comedy writer had someone intervened all these days back in Long Island years ago. But when I met him, I was like, boy, this guy is so funny, and he's a personal injury lawyer and very, very successful, but he's not a lawyer in the classic sense. Like when I look at his emails, he writes things like, "I'm going to hang you over a building until the money falls." He's writing that to other lawyers, and I'm like, "What is that?" And he goes, "That this is how I do law work. I advocate. I don't give a shit about legalese." And my clients appreciate that. They feel represented, and he's very funny. And being from Long Island, I said, you're probably the only person I would say this about. I'm going to introduce you to Jerry Seinfeld. I think he's going to like you. I think you're funny enough and you like cars enough. I think you're going to slot right into our little friend group. And
Ah,
sure enough, he did right off the
oh
bat.
wow.
Right off. There was
Jerry just
a little shaping, a little Jerry shaping. Oh, I don't need
yeah.
to hear that story. He sets the parameters for what he thinks we should all talk about, and then we tend to knock those walls down. But
And go for it.
the
Yeah.
three of us, those tend to be everyone's favorite shows, because Jerry can really let his hair down and just be one of the guys. And then we also, for street cred in the car community, we have Matt Farah, who's an editor at large for Road and Track, and Johnny Lieberman, who we like to beat on from Motor Trend. And it's really whoever's around on Friday. Who's around? Who's here? Let's go do a
That's
show.
hilarious.
So we're
Yeah,
doing,
but
yeah, that's it.
it's got that feel. It's got
Yeah,
that
we're
really
like
nice
you.
feel.
We get guests pitched to us, and we will bring on Titus Welliver, who's promoting Bosch, who's also part of our kind of cars and coffee crew, and or Jay
Yeah.
comes on, or Corolla comes on. It's
Yeah.
just I wish I could do three of them a week. I love doing it, but we do one, and we're happy people are paying attention to it.
Corolla's got some cool cars. I've been to his studio when I've done his show, and he's got those like basically like the offices, and then it smells like gasoline while he's
It's
sitting in his studio
hilarious.
because he's got like
So
three
good.
vintage cars. It's the best. Tell people where they can see the show. It's on YouTube, but give them specifically where they can go so they can check it out.
Well, that's it. YouTube, Spike's Car
That's
Radio.
it.
And then if you
There
want to
you
listen
go.
to it, if you don't want to see the cars, we're everywhere where you get podcasts.
All right. Sounds good. Spike, great to have you on. Congrats on the show. It's awesome.
Thank
No
you.
one else is doing a show like this, which is a hard thing to say these days with so much content out there. So it's a tribute to you. Always great to have you on, and we'll talk soon.
All right, Paul. That was
Take
fun.
care.
Thanks.
Yeah. Same here. All right.